With Persona 5 Strikers, the Musou sequel to Persona 5 finally being released here in the West, I felt it was the perfect time to finally make this video that I've wanted to make for many years. That's right, today I'm listing off 10 games and anime series I'd love to see get Musou crossover games. Only rule is that I can't include something that already has a Musou game, no matter how obscure or bad said game may be. So unfortunately, Bleach and the Tales series are not eligible. Other than that, these are not in any order, and I'll do my best to talk about any unique mechanics that series could bring to make the experience unique. With that out the way, let's begin. While I'm putting X-Men here, truthfully this spot could go to the entire Marvel universe, but to keep things simple, let's just go with the X-Men. We've had plenty of games with the X-Men teaming up and taking on hordes of enemies, and the wide assortment of powers they have make the sky's the limit for moveset and combo possibilities. Not to mention, we've already seen what characters with similar powers can do in other Musou games, like the powers of magnetism and ice. Other characters with more unconventional powers like Nightcrawler and Shadowcat would also have potential for unique movesets. Like, imagine having the ability to teleport around as Nightcrawler, striking enemies from every direction imaginable like you're playing ping pong. Not to mention, it'd just be cool plowing through hordes of enemies as Wolverine or someone like Juggernaut. With the robust roster of X-Men there are, a Musou game would be amazing.
Did you kill my family?
No, Quan Chi did.
But I saw a vision of you.
Mortal Kombat feels like a no-brainer for a Musou game. What's better than brutally killing one opponent in gory fashion, brutally killing scores of enemies in gory fashion? Now, the Mortal Kombat series has tried that somewhat before with Shaolin Monks, but that was more of a beat-em-up than a Musou game with dedicated combos. Something sorely lacking from other Musou games is gore and violence, the only real game to have it being Berserk and the Band of the Hawk. And what better series to step in and fill those shoes than the father of blood and guts that gave us ESRB ratings in the first place. Fatalities are what Mortal Kombat is famous for, and it'd be interesting seeing the devs think of creative ways to translate single enemy fatalities and the ones that look just as gut-wrenchingly impressive on many foes at once. Now, to be clear, when I say I want a Yu-Gi-Oh! Musou game, this could actually go in one of two directions. You could simply take the endless amount of monsters found in Yu-Gi-Oh! And let the player run amok with them, which I would be okay with. Or we can take it a step further and have the player control the duelist, who has 5 different monsters they can summon and swap between, just like in Yu-Gi-Oh! And even implement spell and trap cards in some way, like reviving a monster of Monster Reborn, or stopping enemies in their tracks with Swords of Revealing Light. The possibilities of mechanics you can implement in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Musou game are vast, and it's really a shame it's not been done yet. Plus, rampaging around the battlefield as something like a Blue Eyes White Dragon would be worth the price of admission alone. Okay, so yes, the Persona series does fall under the umbrella of Shin Megami Tensei, and of course this video is releasing to coincide with the release of Persona 5 Strikers. But what I want is a Musou game with actual dark SMT elements and tone. I want a Musou game where you can control various demons from the series while fighting for the side of law or chaos. SMT is known for demon fusion and skill inheritance, and has a lot of potential to work for a genre like this. Imagine passing down various skills via fusion until you create your ultimate demon for use. I think there's a lot of potential for gameplay depth with this series in particular, and I hope one day we can see it actually happen.
You come here to fight, or just to play around? Ugh, if you're not going to take this seriously, I'll destroy your book now!
This one might feel like a pick out of left field for some of you, but the same show my username is derived from has the potential to be one of the flashiest, insane Musou games we've ever seen. For those that don't know, Zatch Bell is about a group of demon children being sent to the human world to fight in a battle royale until one is remaining in order to determine the new king of their world. They have to fight alongside humans who read out their powerful spells from a book. Now, the reason I put Zatch Bell here aside from personal bias is that some of these spells, especially the in-game spells only found in the last arc of the manga, are absolutely insane. Giant elemental creatures, massive gravity fields, just really crazy stuff that would be a treat to see in a modern video game. and I feel the Musou genre is the perfect way to explore this, especially since in my experience, the most fun characters in these games tend to be the ones that cause the most havoc on screen, like the Logia elemental users from One Piece. Imagine that, but on an even bigger scale. It'd be amazing. Digimon is yet another series with an insane amount of playable creatures to pull from, with the added bonus of having multiple potential movesets within one character, which is the main reason why I picked it over something like Pokemon. Digimon constantly evolve and devolve into different forms, and being able to do this on the fly with each form having their own moveset and combos that can link into each other opens the door for some insane combo based gameplay possibilities. Like, imagine being able to control Agumon, Greymon, Metal Greymon, and War Greymon all interchangeably, with each playing differently yet still working together in a cohesive manner. Not to mention the flashy attacks Mega Level Digimon would undoubtedly have, and you have the recipe for a great Musou game. Another one that I'm shocked hasn't happened yet, a Final Fantasy Musou seems like a no-brainer. Dozens upon dozens of iconic characters, flashy summons, and tons of enemies to choose from for the player to tear through, and you would think this game would have been made years ago. Dissidia Final Fantasy, Type 0, and the 7 Remake have all proven how unique Final Fantasy characters can be, and I know for a fact fans would jump at the announcement of a Final Fantasy Musou. Not much else to say for this one, it would work, and it's anyone's guess why it hasn't happened yet.
Breath of Magic Caster, Infinity Wall, Magic Word Holy, Life Essence, Greater Full Potential, Freedom, False Data Life, See-Through, Paranormal Intuition, Greater Resistance, Mantle of Chaos, Indomitability, Sensor Boost, Greater Luck, Magic Boost, Dragonic Power, Greater Hardening, Heavenly Aura, Absorption, Penetrate Up, Greater Magic Shield, Mana Essence, Triplet Maximize Magic, Explode Mind, Triplet Magic, Greater Magic Shield, Triplet Maximize Boosted Magic, Magic Arrow.
Overlord is another obscure choice like Zatch Bell that I have some solid reasoning behind. Overlord is an MMO isekai anime where the main character gets transported to a world very similar to the MMO game he played and is now his character. On the surface this may sound like nothing special, but the cool thing about Overlord, and one of the reasons I fell in love with it, and why it would make for the perfect Musou crossover, is the depth in which the MMO of Overlord, Yggdrasil, is described in terms of its customization for players, and how well that would translate to a video game. I won't go into full depth here, but to give you an example, the game of Yggdrasil had over 6,000 spells, and we even see Ainz, the main character, and his various allies, use countless buffs, attacks, and debuffs in the show. There's one scene in particular that made me consider Overlord for this list in the first place, where Ainz single-handedly takes on an entire army by himself, similar to what you do in Musou games. Couple all this with MMO-style customization for skills, passive traits, and more, and I think you can do an amazing Musou MMO hybrid. The 7 Xeno games, from Xenogears up to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, are full of unique characters, from sword fighters to martial artists to gunslingers to combat androids. This on its own is enough to want them in a Musou game, but a staple of the Xeno games is being able to pilot mechs, with characters from 6 of the 7 games being able to do so. Imagine being able to fight on foot and at any time jump in a mech to completely change your moveset and the scope of the battle. Now, as awesome as this sounds, more so than any other entry on this list, this one has the least chance of happening since Monolith Soft doesn't own the rights to the first 4 Xeno games anymore. But a man can dream. If you know me, you saw this one coming. The Super Robot Wars series is full of dozens of unique mechs, all with powers and abilities that range from elemental powers to dimension hopping to generating black holes. SRW games use a system known as spirit commands that give you different buffs or debuffs to enemies, and I think that would work really well in a fast-paced Musou game. like having the ability to triple your speed for a short period of time or make all your hits unblockable. There's a lot of room for integration of these various spirit commands, but when you get down to it, I just want to see my favorite mecha comboing hordes of enemies, and you know what? There's no greater reason to want a game than that. So there you have it, 10 series I personally want to see get the Musou treatment. I want to know what series you guys want to see turn to Musou or Warrior games. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you're watching this on the day of release, I'm probably streaming Persona 5 Strikers on Twitch right now, so come stop by and say hi. Link is in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. The goal for 2021 is to reach 5,000 subs here on YouTube, and with your help, I know we can achieve it. So if you liked the video, do me a favor and leave a like and share it with your friends. And if you're new, think about subscribing. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later.